are currently muted. So we have set aside time at the end of our presentation for Q&A. Feel free to send questions to the Q&A or the chat as they come up. So today we'll be discussing tips and tricks for teaching QuickBooks. We'll be learning from Crystalynn Shelton. Crystalynn Shelton is a small business advisor specializing in financial accounting software training, coaching, and consulting. She's the author of 3 Amazon bestsellers, Mastering QuickBooks 2020, Mastering QuickBooks 2021, and Mastering QuickBooks 2022. In addition to being a small business owner, she has more than 20 years of experience leading accounting departments in the entertainment, oil and gas, education, and computer technology fields. Crystalynn graduated with her accounting degree from UTA, University of Texas in Arlington, and she's an advanced certified QuickBooks Pro advisor. This year, Crystalynn was named as one of the top 100 QuickBooks Pro advisors in the country. Crystalynn has taught accounting, bookkeeping, and QuickBooks courses as an adjunct instructor for the last 12 years at the University of California at Los Angeles Extension. When she's not in the classroom, Crystalynn enjoys trying new restaurants with her hubby, watching her Dallas Cowboy play, and curling up with a good book. We're so privileged to have Crystalynn join us. With that, I'll pass it over to her to get us started. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Amandine, for that lovely introduction. Let me go ahead and share my presentation, you guys. 1 second here. All right. Can you guys see my presentation?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
There we go. Yeah.
Awesome sauce. So thank you everyone for joining us today. I am very excited to share with you my tips and tricks for teaching QuickBooks Online in the classroom. Amandine did an excellent job of providing you with just some background about myself. And so I am actually going to dive into the content. I'm actually going to also make this presentation available. So I'll send a copy over to Amandine and she can send it out to you guys so that you have it. So let me just minimize this Zoom. All right. So many of you, I know that many of you are in the process of making the transition from teaching QuickBooks Desktop in the classroom to QuickBooks Online. If you haven't heard, Intuit has decided to no longer provide those free software licenses for your students. And so as a result, many instructors like myself are moving to QuickBooks Online in the classroom. And so the first thing I'd like to do, since many of you are probably brand new to that platform, is just chat a bit about the differences between QuickBooks Desktop and Online. So I always like to start there, and then we'll dive into some other content. So I've got QuickBooks Desktop on the left, QuickBooks Online on the right. And basically, the key differences are QuickBooks Desktop requires that you install the software on the computers. QuickBooks Online does not require installed software. It's cloud-based, and so all you need is a computer or a mobile device with an internet connection. QuickBooks Desktop needs hardware, and you've got to have the right operating system for the software. So QuickBooks Desktop, as many of you know, has a PC version and a Mac version. The nice thing about QuickBooks Online is you can use it on any platform. And so again, with an internet connection, you're able to just go into the Intuit website using your user ID and password and get right into your QuickBooks Online account. Another thing that desktop requires is you must have access to the actual QuickBooks file when sharing information. And so with QuickBooks Online, there is no file that you have to share, right? You as an instructor can actually go right into your student's file. And we'll talk more about that when we get into the Intuit Educator portal, and you'll see how that works. Another thing about QuickBooks Desktop is it requires expensive equipment, or for most businesses, if you have many people accessing the same file, you've got to set up a network and put the company file on there so other people can access it. QuickBooks Online allows you to simply send an invitation to those folks that you want to access QuickBooks, and they can just get right in, which makes it really, really nice. Updates. So anytime QuickBooks Desktop is updated, as many of you know, you have to install the update and let it run. Or if you want access to new features, you have to actually upgrade your software. So for example, QuickBooks Desktop 2023, when that comes out, if you want access to the new features, you actually have to purchase that software. The nice thing about QuickBooks Online is you always have access to the most recent features and updates. You simply log in, and any updates that have been made to the software are available for you to use. And typically the software, believe it or not, is updated probably every 6 to 8 weeks. There's improvements being made or new features being added or tweaked. And so it's quite often. And so it's nice that you don't have to constantly upgrade like you would with the desktop product. Last but not least, when you have QuickBooks Desktop, you're required to back up your data. And so that can require you to set up an external way to back it up, or you have to remember to back it up so that if anything happens to your computer, you've got a copy of your company file. Well, the nice thing about QuickBooks Online is all of your data is backed up and on the Intuit servers. And so you don't have to worry about backing up that data at all. And so that's just basically a few of the highlights of the differences between the two platforms. Now let's dive into some of the benefits of teaching QuickBooks Online over desktop. And yes, there are benefits, believe it or not. So the first one is you as an instructor give your students access to QuickBooks Online. So as many of you know, back in the day when we were getting the desktop licenses, students were required to go through Intuit to get access to QuickBooks. Well, now instructors have been given the authority to give their students QuickBooks Online access. This takes place through the Intuit Educator portal, which I'm going to demonstrate for you in a few minutes. The second benefit of teaching QuickBooks Online over desktop is students get access to their QBO account for up to 1 year. And that's a lot longer than they used to access QuickBooks Desktop. I want to say it was about maybe 4.5, 5 months access maximum. So the beauty of this is long after your students have completed your course, they are still able to access that QuickBooks Online file and continue to practice what they've learned. What they can also do is when the year is up, let's say they are using it, maybe they've started a business and they're using it for that purpose, they can actually keep that account by simply entering their credit card information, and then they just start getting billed for that after the year. Another benefit of teaching QuickBooks Online over desktop is instructor access never expires. So as an instructor, you will be given access to an account called QuickBooks Online Accountant. And that's very similar to the QuickBooks Desktop Accountant version, where it has all the bells and whistles that accountants need to manage their client files and close the books and all of that stuff. So you'll get access to a free QBOA account, QuickBooks Online Accountant account, that you never have to worry about expiring, which is nice. The fourth benefit is it's very easy to help students troubleshoot issues. As I mentioned, and I'll demonstrate in a few minutes, you will have direct access to all of your students' QBO files. And so that's nice. Instead of them having to worry about saving the file as a portable file, or emailing you the file, or dropping it in Dropbox, that all goes away. With QuickBooks Online, you simply go to your Intuit Educator portal, click on the class, click on the student's company file, and you don't even have to log in. It just basically opens up on your screen. So it's really, really simple. And then the fifth benefit is the ability to access the Intuit Educator portal. And so the Intuit Educator portal is really a one-stop shop for anyone that's teaching QuickBooks Online. It's got a lot of resources there. And as I said, allows you to give your students access to the QuickBooks Online software. And so with that said, we're actually going to go ahead and go into the Intuit Educator portal. So let me actually switch this here. Okay. Are you guys seeing my educator portal? Just want to make sure.
It might be loading.
Delayed. Okay, how about now?
Yep, it's working.
Perfect. All right, so this is the Intuit Educator portal. There's a lot of great information here. So I'm just going to start here on the right with additional links. So directly from this portal, you'll have access to what's called the QuickBooks Online Test Drive account. So this is, if you will, a demo account or a sample company file that has data in it. So typically, I will use this file to just demonstrate basic navigation in QuickBooks, or I might demonstrate how to record a transaction for my students, or I might have them use this to perform some exercises in the beginning of the course. So this is a link that you can access from here, but you can also copy it to your LMS and give your students access to it as well. It does not require a sign-in. You simply just have to confirm you're not a robot, and then there you can get access to that file. Demo files like this are really good because they already have data populated in them, and so it gives the students and yourself a good idea of what things should look like when they're completed, as opposed to just a completely blank company file. The next link here, Your QuickBooks Accountant. So this is the account that I was referring to that instructors will get access to. So your free account, you'll be able to quickly access it from this portal by clicking this link. You can use this account to create a business. You can use it to actually learn how to use QuickBooks Online. You can use it for anything that you like. It's going to be your account. You're not going to give access to your students to this account, and you don't have to use it for a demo account. I'll show you how we're going to create demo companies. So that's your account to use for free forever. It does not expire. Pro Advisor training materials. So as Amandine mentioned, I am a certified QuickBooks Pro Advisor in both online and desktop. And so if you're not certified, I definitely recommend that you get certified. You will get access to training materials. This link takes you to those materials. There is written materials, and there are on-demand webinars that you can watch to prepare for the certification exam. And then when you're ready, you can just take the exam. Each year you do have to recertify, but the recertification really just covers anything new that's taken place from the previous year. And so it's just a great benefit if you're just focusing on QuickBooks Online only, then the certification is 100% free. If you're interested in getting certified in QuickBooks Desktop, maybe you support QuickBooks clients or you deal with small business folks who are still on desktop, you will have to pay an annual fee, but it's totally worth it. I've been certified in both. I've been certified in desktop since 2009, and each year my certification includes a copy of the newest software. So in a few weeks, I'll get access or my license for the 2023 versions of desktop, enterprise, and the Mac version, because I have people that use all of those versions of QuickBooks. So just something to keep in mind. But again, if you're just like, I'm just going to be teaching QuickBooks Online, definitely consider getting certified in QuickBooks Online. The next link most of you are familiar with is QuickBooks Certified User. So this link takes you directly to the Certiport website, the portion of it that goes through the certification requirements to obtain the QuickBooks certification in online and desktop. So this is some information that you typically will share with your students. And then last but not least is this entrepreneurship and small business certification. This is fairly new. I think that if you are in a classroom where there are small business owners, you may want to share the information that's listed here with them. I haven't gone through this certification, but I heard that it's very good. So it's here for you to check out in the portal if you'd like to. And then last but not least, they've got a short video here that actually provides you with an overview of how this Intuit Educator portal works. All right, so let's talk about some teaching resources. Up here at the top, you'll see demo companies. So what Intuit has done is they have provided us with the ability as instructors to create a total of 5 demo companies. And so if you need to create an answer key for assignments for students, or if you want to create and demonstrate how to set up a company that sells products, right? So this test drive is a service-based company, right? Because it's landscaping. But maybe you're like, we need, I want to teach my students how to manage products. Then you could set up a demo company for that. As you can see, I've got 1 demo company that I've created, which means I can create 4 more. And so it's a nice tool to have as an instructor. If you haven't selected curriculum yet for teaching QuickBooks Online, you haven't purchased or you don't have any idea of what textbook you want to use, Intuit has created actually curriculum that you can use. So I kind of want to go through this just briefly so you can see what's here. So on this curriculum tab, they have 3 different levels. And so this first level, basically it says that it covers all basic functions needed to support just a simple service-based business, right? There's 6 class lectures, and then there's 6+ hours of student activities. So this is probably going to be like a basic course on QuickBooks Online, right? Maybe a 6-week course. Then level 2, you come over to, it's going to cover everything that's in level 1. And then it's also going to cover not only support, but also a product-based business. This has 12 class lectures and 20+ hours of students' activities and exercises that they can do hands-on. And so this is probably like an intermediate level, I would say, 12-week course. And then the final one is level 3, covers service-based, product-based, and project-based businesses. So this is probably going to be, ideal to an advanced level course. 14 class lectures, 24+ hours of student activities. They've got user guides, teacher guides, instructor guides. I think the only thing that's not available here is you'll have to create your answer keys. But you can do that with your demo companies, right? You can create an answer key by using these demo companies to do that. So it makes it fairly easy and straightforward. The other thing that's here is video tutorials. So if you are just looking to learn QuickBooks yourself as an instructor, maybe you're not familiar with QuickBooks Online at all, they've got a link that takes you to tutorials. And these tutorials probably are anywhere from 2 minutes long to maybe 5 or 6 minutes long. Very short tutorials. They're categorized, as you can see, account management, advanced accounting, and they tell you what the video covers. Okay, that didn't like that. It tells you what the video covered and the length of the video. And I actually share these with my students. I'm going to go over to the LMS that I use at UCLA and show you how I incorporate these into my classroom. But these are good for you, and they're also good to share with your students. So that is everything on this home tab. If we drop down to the classes tab, okay. Come on, QuickBooks. I'm live here. Hopefully it'll log me back in here. Okay, cool. On the classes tab, we've got, I currently have a cloud-based QuickBooks class, a My Sample class, and then you can add a class. So I want to walk through how to add a class so that you can see how it works, and then I'll show you how you add your students. So if we click Add Class, and I actually need to add my class for the fall. So cloud-based fall. So your class name would be something along those lines, right? Whatever the university calls it or whatever you prefer to call it in here. If your school blocks emails that are from external senders, then you want to go ahead and click this box. Mine doesn't, so I'll leave it unchecked and I'll select Add Class. So now when I add the class, I get this pop-up that says I can go ahead and add my students. So you can either manually add students to this class right here, or you can download, or you can actually import, I should say, a roster. And basically all you need is their first name, their last name, and their email address. And so if I were to say add students manually, I could type in this information here, and then I would just say save and add another if I wanted to do the manual add. Or as I said, if you have the list in either it's a CSV or an XLS format, then you're able to just upload the whole roster in one shot and add your students that quickly. So after you've added your class and you've added your students, the next thing you want to do is actually give them access to QuickBooks, right? And so that's going to be done here where it says send new company invitation. So I'm just going to say, hey, I'm ready to send all my students this invitation. So I just selected the all button there. I click this send invitation. And if I've already created the company, then it'll be listed here. These are grayed out because, as you can see, it says all of these students have access to these too. But let's say I wanted to give them access to a different company. So this is going to be based on the courseware that you use, right? So for example, the textbook that I use is a fictitious company called Luxury Lodging. And so I've added Luxury Lodging here. That's the name of the company file that I want my students to have. And so you would just put the name here. But since I've already used that, I'll use this just to demonstrate it. When you click next to preview the invitation, this shows you what the students will see when they receive the email. And so in the email to say your instructor has invited you to create your QuickBooks Online Plus company. This information will need to be edited based on whatever the content is that you use. So this message here will need to be updated to what you needed to say for your students. And this message will automatically go out to them. They open up the email, they read this, they click accept invitation, and then they'll follow the steps to create a password for their account. Typically, their email address will be the user ID, and then they just create a secure password. And then you just send the invites once you've done. So like mine says, send invites to 10 students. So I'm not going to do that, but that's how easy it is. So once you have sent the invite to your students, you will see something like this. It'll say the company name and it'll say invitation sent. Now, if a student says they didn't get the invitation, then you can select resend invite. After a student accepts the invite and sets up their password, it will change from this invitation sent to an actual blue link next to the student's name. So as you can see, my students have access to a couple of different companies that I've set up. As what it is I've used Photo by Design, I used throughout the course. And then for the final project, I created a completely different company that I wanted them to use for that. And so you can give your students, as you see here, access to a maximum of 4 company files, which is really nice. And so let's see, so that's how you add a class, add students, invite students to QuickBooks. The other action that you can take on this page is, I mentioned sending them a new invite if they don't get it. If they gave you, the email address needs to be changed, you can edit the student information here. And you can remove a student from a class if you need to and re-add them. So that's how it is. If this gets too cluttered, you can eventually, delete a class if it's over and you no longer need to access it. So that's classes. And then last but not least, we talked about demo companies. So again, just to reiterate, a demo company is something that you as an instructor will use. And it even says here, these companies are not to be sent to your students. So it's really just for you to demo different things or to create answer keys if you need to, and that sort of thing. And so, yeah, I'm using one. I've got 4 available for me to use on the demo company. So, all right, that is the lay of the land for the Intuit Educator portal. A couple of more tips that I wanted. Oh, actually, before I go back to my presentation, I wanted to show you guys how I utilize the video tutorials. So this is my dashboard in Canvas. At UCLA, we use Canvas. So I'm going to go into my summer course that I just wrapped up. I just want to show you, for those of you that use a learning management system, how you can organize or utilize the video tutorial. So typically what I'll do is I'll go through the video tutorials and I will incorporate or copy the links over to the LMS. So for example, this is chapter 3, which covers company file setup. And so what I've done is I've pulled all the company file setup videos that Intuit has included in their tutorial website. And I've added the links in here along with the link of the video for the students, okay? So I think it's just good for students to have this reinforcement. And this particular class that I taught was a summer class that was asynchronous. So it wasn't live in the classroom, they were on their own. And so it's good to have these reinforcements so they can sort of see how transactions should be recorded. I create my own videos as well, but these are nice too because they're really short and just straight to the point. And so this is one way you can utilize those video tutorials that are located here in the educator portal. So with that said, I want to go back. Just cleaner if I stop sharing, that way I know when I'm sharing. All right, I'm gonna go back to my presentation. And let's see. So a few more tips. Grading student assignments. We talked about in troubleshooting, which we talked about. But when it comes to troubleshooting, it's a lot easier, as I mentioned, because you simply just go through the Intuit Educator portal, right? Click on the student's company file and you're in. There's no logging in required. The company file just simply displays. When it comes to assignments, you need to be mindful that unlike QuickBooks Desktop, which allowed us to create a company file, let's say for each chapter. So let's say your course is 6 weeks and you have 6 chapters. With Desktop, you could say, let's do chapter 1, skip chapter 2, let's do chapter 3. Unfortunately, it's harder to do that with online because there are separate files. QuickBooks Online is one account, right? And so what you have to do is get yourself in the habit of assigning students, exercises that they can simply just run reports for and submit to you for review. You may have to get in the habit of giving them check figures so that if your reports match these check figures, yes, you can move on to the next exercise. If they don't match the check figures, then hold off until I grade your assignment, right? And so you'll have to get used to that because, and I'm just trying to see how I can explain it. So let's say in chapter 1, you have students create invoices to customers, right? So that's chapter 1, let's just say. In chapter 2, you have students process payments from those customers. Well, before they can move on to chapter 2, you must grade chapter 1 and make sure it's correct. Because if it's not, and they move on to chapter 2, then any errors that they have will continue to be there if they're not corrected, right? Because the file is one file. It's not a separate file like desktop. So you just got to be mindful of that. I think most of the textbooks, the textbook that I create and the textbooks that are out there kind of highlight that and point that out because that's a big difference from what we've been doing with QuickBooks Desktop. So you just got to be mindful of that. Even from a grading standpoint, it's nice to be able to go to the Intuit Educator portal, click on the student's company file, and take a look and see what they've done. But that's also time consuming, and typically, I'm not sure on average how many students each of you have in your class, but we cap out at 20 to 25, that's a lot of files to look at. And so typically what I will do is have students generate a report, right, that will show me the work that they've done. And so, for example, if I give them an exercise that says, add these accounts to your chart of accounts, edit these accounts, delete these accounts. At the end of that exercise, the deliverable is generate the chart of accounts list, export it to a PDF file, and upload it to the LMS for grading. Okay, so then what's nice is when I go into the grading model, I'm just reviewing reports, 1 student, 2 students, comparing it to my answer key. I'm not going into the portal and clicking on individual QBO accounts and then trying to look for what I need to. So it's going to save you a lot of time. If you don't have a lot of students, then it might not be time consuming, but I like introducing students to the report center early and then getting them in the habit of submitting reports as deliverables, okay? And then this last point down here, we talked about assignments being graded before students moving on to the next one. So let's see, we talked about the LMS. And so here is the checklist, just to recap. So step one, you want to sign up for the Intuit Educator account. I've sent some links that Amanine will drop into the chat that will take you directly to the Intuit website so that you can go ahead and do that. Step two, you want to get familiar with the Intuit Educator portal. Okay, I've just reviewed it with you, but go in there, click around, get familiar with it. It's a great, great resource. Step three, you must learn how to use QuickBooks Online. And I've got a couple of great resources that will help you to do that. But obviously you've got to get up to speed with it. While some things are the same, right? Like when it comes to accounting and the recording of journal entries behind the scene, right? The debits and credits are going to be the same. But the mechanics, right? And the user interface are completely different. And so you want to become very familiar with that and how it works in QuickBooks Online. Step four, create your answer keys using the demo company files. So again, you've got 5 demo files that you can create, get those set up, as many as you need so that when students start submitting homework, you've got the information you need to quickly grade their assignments. All right, resources. So the book on the left, Get Started with QuickBooks Online, is a textbook that I created for a company called Technical Learning Resources. This book is a great beginner guide for students who are brand new to QuickBooks Online. And so it uses a fictitious company called Luxury Lodging, which is similar to an Airbnb. And it's very step-by-step. You as instructors can get a review copy absolutely free. There is a link that's going to be dropped into the chat, but you can also just go directly to the website shown here, click on apply for instructor status, fill out the little online form. I'll get a notification. And then once I verify that you are an instructor for a college or university, then I'll approve you. When you receive the approval, you can go to the website, place the order for the textbook, and there will be no charge to you. If you have questions or you want to set up a Zoom just to talk through how to set up some things, I am absolutely available for that. Just reach out. The book on the right is my third book. It's a really good go-to guide for QuickBooks Online. I've written 3 of them. This is the third one. I'm writing a 2023 guide now. A lot of my colleagues who teach QuickBooks, tax folks, CPAs, all love this guide because it's really self-explanatory. And if you have the accounting background and you just need a guide to refer to learn how to do something quickly or to get up to speed on QuickBooks quickly, it's great for that. This is on Amazon right now available. And so you can easily, just go to Amazon and order a copy. I'm also typically looking to give away some review copies of the upcoming book that's 2023. So in return, I usually ask you to just complete an Amazon review. And so if you're interested in that, drop me an email, let me know. And then when that book is published, I will reach out to you. So with that said, what are your questions?
Thank you, Crystalynn. So we have quite a few questions that have come in that I will be reading off for you. So I'll go in the order that we received them. And some of them I do not have the answer.
Okay, no worries.
Yeah. Okay. So we had a question about, are students working in their own demo file?
Yes, so the file that you give students access to through the Intuit portal is completely blank. And so based on your curriculum, whatever exercises you're assigning, or if they have a textbook, they will be completing those exercises in that file. So it's a file that they create completely from scratch with no data.
Perfect. And do the students have access to the test drive landscaping company?
Yes. So typically what I do, oh, I apologize, I didn't show that part. In my LMS, I have a section called additional resources, and I usually just copy the test drive link in there so that they can quickly access it. So you can do that. Also, students can access the test drive from their own QBO account. If they go to the help menu and type test drive, the link will come up, and so they can do it that way as well.
Perfect. And I don't know if you would know that answer. Otherwise, I can check with Intuit. But do you know if the students, if educators have students for 2 years, if they can have student account work for more than 1 year, or is it just restricted to 1 year?
So each account is restricted to 1 year. Is the course 2 years, or we're talking multiple courses? I guess, so the specific, each account students can only access for 1 year. So if you need to give the same student access to an account, you will have to set them up with a different account. Does that make sense? Because after the year, Intuit's going to require that that account start being a paid account. So you won't be able to continue to use the account without paying after the 12 months is over.
Okay.
Yeah.
And which levels do you need to complete for students who are taking the certification? I know you went to different levels.
When it comes to the Intuit curriculum, that's a good question. I'm not sure, because I use my textbook, and so my textbook covers all the objectives. I'm not sure, but I can check with Intuit. Yeah, you're talking about the different levels of the curriculum that they provide, right? I think that's what they're talking about.
I'm not sure, but I can follow up with you offline on that to make sure we provide an answer.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'm sure Intuit has the answer. I just don't know. I just don't know the answer right now.
Okay. Could you explain the inventory costing method in QuickBooks Online versus QuickBooks Desktop?
The what method?
Inventory costing method.
So the inventory method used in online is FIFO, or first in, first out. I think desktop was, oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank. It wasn't LIFO. It's definitely different. So that's when someone's converting from desktop to online. There's a checklist, and there's even a migration video that goes through all of the things, right? And inventory is one of those items where it explicitly says you have to check with your accountant to make sure you can switch inventory methods because they're different. Average cost. Desktop uses average cost, and online uses FIFO, first in, first out. So it's definitely a change if you're going to continue to use it. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So here's another one. How do you suggest teaching the different topics of QuickBooks Online for an in-person class with students? Would you go through the steps at the same time in a demo company?
So I think it's going to be very similar to the way you taught desktop. I think that you can, it's really just based on your teaching style. Like I always like to demo some things for my students. So typically the exercises within a chapter, I'll have them probably open up the test drive, and I'll have the test drive open too. And so we'll go through some things within the chapter together and demonstrate that way. And then the end of chapter exercises or the homework, you know, they can do on their own in the company file I've given them access to. So that's what I recommend. You could also, instead of giving them homework that they have to take, you could use, you know, part of the class could be lecture, which is what I used to do, the morning, then we'd have a lunch break, then the afternoon, they're working on, you know, their graded assignments in the class. That way, if they had questions, I was there to answer them. So that's sort of how I would work it if I was doing that in person.
Okay. Do the students know when a teacher is reviewing their work, their accounts?
They can't see that you're logged in, if that's what you're asking. But there's an audit log that they can run and you can run available in the report center, where you can see, you know, if someone's logged in, how long they were logged in, and any changes that they made. So they could see that, but they don't really know when you're in the file, and you know, they don't have that visibility.
Okay. And then we have questions about the company files. So someone's asking, where are the 4 company files that you can send the students from?
Where are they?
Yeah.
So these aren't physical files. Basically, in QuickBooks Online, it's like giving them access to QuickBooks Online, but different companies. So I showed you how to invite a student to QuickBooks, right, in the portal. So once you invite them, you can create up to 4 different companies and give them access to those companies. And so they can easily access those companies from a drop-down in QBO. And so they can toggle between companies, if that makes sense. But you create the actual name of the company. Again, it's from scratch, so there's no data in it, right? And so they have to enter the data into those files. But the maximum is 4 per student per class.
Okay. And then are you able to delete a demo company once you don't need it anymore?
I believe the demo companies expire after a year. I'm not sure if you can delete it before that year. That's an excellent question too. But I've had a couple to expire. And then what happens is it opens up. So I had 3 demo companies, you know, up until a couple weeks ago. And then 2 of them expired. And so when those 2 expired, they gave me, you know, 2 to replace them. So now I'm back at my 5, if that makes sense. So if a demo company expires, they always just reset your demos to where you always have access to 5. Does that make sense?
It does to me. If it doesn't, we can have the person follow up. Yeah. I don't know how much time it would take. Someone's asking if you could demo how to run reports that students can turn in.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Let me... Yeah, I'll go into this one. Okay. All right, so I'm heading back over here to the portal. And you guys can see my portal, hopefully.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm just gonna go into my small business builders demo company and show you guys this real quick. But yeah, you know, there's a report for everything. So as I mentioned, let's say, for example, you have students add a couple of accounts to the chart of accounts list. Maybe you have them rename an account or delete an account altogether, right? So let's let QuickBooks open up a little bit. But there's a chart of accounts report that you can run, and it will give you the list of accounts. And so they can export that easily to a PDF file. I usually say PDF. You can do Excel as well, but the problem is everybody doesn't have Excel, right? Most people can download to PDF. So for example, the chart of accounts is here. The chart of accounts report, I can just quickly run. And this is what a student would do once they're done with that exercise where they've added all the accounts and deleted and edited all the accounts I wanted them to edit. They can simply come into run the report, and then this little button here allows them to export the report either to Excel or to PDF. Again, I stay away from Excel just because you know, everybody doesn't have Excel. Most people can download to PDF. So you can do that for the chart of accounts. If you had students create invoices, for example, then you can have them run a number of reports, the accounts receivable aging report, right? So the report center in QuickBooks Online is kind of grouped, so like sales and customers. So I could have them run a where is it? Oh, who owes you? So who owes you will be the customer report. So accounts receivable aging report, that would give me a list of all the invoices that they created, right? Because they haven't been paid. There's an open invoices report that I could run and have them, I don't know if there's anything in here, but there's an open invoices report that they can run. And again, all reports can be exported to Excel or PDF. I usually have my students save it. So it's typically, you know, open invoices report. It may be chapter 1, open invoices report. And I may even have them put their name at the end, and then they upload it to my LMS or they send it to me via email. So yeah, either way, they can run the reports from the report center though. Hope that helps.
Perfect. I'll go with one more question, and then we have more questions that we'll make sure that we find answers to so we can answer everyone.
Absolutely.
So the last question was, do your books have to be purchased there each year, or can they be used for a few years?
What has to be purchased each year? I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
Sorry, your book.
So, no, you don't have to purchase the book each year, but it is updated each year. So, you know, we might just go in and make some changes or make some tweaks to it. But no, the books are always available. So if you've purchased that, you know, the book that I just showed you, you don't have to purchase it again. No, you as an instructor would just have it. If you chose to use that textbook from now until, you know, 3 or 4 years from now, you can have students order it. Yeah, it's always available. But we do have new ones that come out. Like I'm working on the updated version of the textbook from TLR. So that'll be coming out probably November. But yeah, it's totally up to you.
Okay, thank you. So we had great participation, and thank you so much for your time, Crystalynn, and for all of this very important information. I am just about to drop your website.
Yes.
And in the follow-up email, we will also have your contact information for anyone who needs to reach out to you.
That's fantastic. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time out to join us today. And feel free to reach out. I know everyone's kind of been a little bit hesitant about making the switch over from desktop to online, but I've done it. I promise you, it's not as bad as you think. All right. Thanks so much, Amadine and Kenneth. Everybody have a great rest of the week.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Please note in the chat, we did offer Amandine's email. So if you have questions that didn't get answered, feel free to send them to Amandine. We'll get you the answers and we will get back to you. You have about 2 minutes before I end the webinar. So make note of that email address. Thank you.